Good morning if you are joining us through the recording. Nice to have you here. We're just starting class. I have 2 blocks and a blanket as well as my mat. If you have blocks, that's great. If you want to use a substitute, sometimes a rolled up towel or a Kleenex box or whatever works for you. A water bottle works for some people to put between their legs and grip onto. If you like a strap, if you know that that's something that you reach for at one point in class, most times, please have a strap or a strap substitute. And we will start on our backs on the ground and do some pranayama and some arrival. And I think I will move my assistant to the side. Come on, Gracie. Come on. Oh, come on. Come on, big girl. Come on. Sorry, I'll be right there, kids. Just getting Gracie set up. There we go. So make yourself comfy. You can, of course, lay flat or take your knees and bend them and point your knees up to the ceiling with the feet on the floor. When we do that, it's good to have your feet at hip width or just a little wider. And then you can let those knees fall together if that's the most comfortable way for you to lie on the floor. It's always nice if your lower back is a bit tender. Get that nice flat back of the pelvis in an easy way. Then take a moment to roll the shoulders open and let the hands fall out so the shoulder blades are flat on the floor. And then I invite you to place a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly. And if you find that you don't like this as we move through the breath work, you can, of course, adjust and take those hands and place them back out to your sides. At first, let's just be aware of our body on the floor. Make any adjustments you need to feel comfortable. And be aware of the area around your body, the room you're in, or perhaps there's somebody working or doing their yoga outside. That would be nice. It's a little cool yet for me in the mornings. Feel this room around you, the air, smell the air. Maybe you smell lilacs that are in bloom all around us. And begin to tune right into your body. You can feel that air around your body, the temperature. You can taste the air. Feel your breath moving in your body, the constant rhythm, motion like the waves on the beach that your breath provides. And perhaps you can feel your belly gently moving under the hand, and maybe even the beat of your heart or your chest rising from the other hand. Let your eyes be closed or very softly focused now so you can tune into that body. And take a moment to feel what's going on in your body. If there's any discomfort, if your nose is stuffy from all the pollen, are you cool? Are you warm? Is your belly grumbling because you have or have not eaten? Belly rumbling and digesting. Now feel particularly the floor beneath you, beneath your heels or your feet, perhaps your calves and your thighs. Feel yourself supported by your back of your body, your shoulders, your rear, your head. Your arms are on the floor, or perhaps just your elbows and the back of your arms. Begin to lengthen your breath. Find an even ratio of breath. Let that ratio be the same for the in-breath and the out-breath. A nice even count. Perhaps 4 or 6 on your own count where you can fill completely and empty completely. Take your breath all the way up to the top of your torso, up by your shoulder blades, the top of your collarbones, and feel your chest widen, those ribs go out to the side as the breath enters fully. And then as you let the breath go, feel the shoulders relax and soften to the floor. That widening of the chest and the shoulders, and then the relaxation with the exhale. Let your exhale be soft and easy and long, and really feel that sense of release that can provide. It's the breath we return to whenever you need grounding, you need a moment of peace, a moment of quiet to let yourself settle in the world and figure out what you need to do next, figure out how to move on, let go of agitation or fear. Come back to your body and the reality of that life in your body. And use this breath whenever you need to. We'll take time for 3 more long breaths on your own count. And if you're finding any dis-ease in your body, if there's any place you want to focus some love and attention, imagine that these breaths are pouring into that area. And as you exhale, the release of your breath eases and softens whatever is calling your attention. Let's add some motion to this here. If you have your legs straight, you can bend your knees and place your feet on the floor, wiggle your toes, and enjoy that change of position. And with the in-breath, let's release the belly tall. And you can leave your hands where they were on your chest and belly if you're finding that comfortable and pleasant. And as you exhale, we're going to take that pelvis rocking so that you can flatten the belly to the floor. And keep that wide, full breath as you do this. If you prefer to release your hands to the side now, please do so. Let the belly rise. You can add to this by lifting the chin a little, pushing the shoulders down, As you exhale, feel the belly flatten towards the floor. If you want to add arms, you can take the arms overhead with the inhale and begin some shoulder motions. Check in with the shoulders as you do this. With the exhale, let the arms come down to the floor on your exhale. You can place the back of the hands, move them towards the floor, maybe all the way to the floor, or maybe not. They may hang in the air, and then place them flat as you exhale at your sides. Or you can take your palms towards each other and take the thumb edge of your hands towards the floor. You can try both and see if one is giving you more sensation and if that feels good or not, and then make your choice what you want to do with your arms, with the hands as the arms move. Let's begin with the inhale, add a push with the feet. And if you want to lift your hips just off the floor, please do so. With the exhale, roll down the back and take those hips back to the floor. The beginning of a little bit of a bridge pose. Move slowly and carefully as you begin, feeling what's going on for you today in that body. As we add each element, you can take your attention to what's going on. As you push through your feet to lift your hips, you're activating the back of your legs and the glutes and beginning some stretch along the front of those thighs and up at your psoas and your hip flexors. And all that part of your body does a lot of work. Maybe if you went hiking on the weekend, or you were working in the garden, or perhaps you were sitting and Zooming with your family. If that people are far away, you may have done that. And all those things affect the legs and may call to you now and tell you what happened and what's going on with them. If you're coming up and down into a nice gentle bridge, see if you can keep your lower ribs in line with your spine. And even with a deep breath, you can breathe out into the sides of the lungs and the tops of the lungs and not let those ribs pop up. You'll get a little bit more sensation in that stretch along the front of the thighs, which might feel really good. And see now we got the action going, you're starting to warm up. See if you can find some pleasure here, feeling yourself to be that long ocean wave, or perhaps the trees blowing in the wind. If you can find some dance and some fun in moving this body. Maybe it's not fun right now. Maybe your body is grumpy today. So if so, move very slowly and lovingly through this work. And if you'd like to sigh it out, please do so. Let's do 2 more and we'll move along in our warm up here. Got the whole spine rolling in an ocean motion. Feeling those legs push and stretch, the shoulders open and close. And let's land on the floor and pull the knees into the body to stretch the legs in a different way, and pull them in as much as you can. And it can be a gentle pull, feel your body softening. And if you soften, how close can you pull those legs into you? Never going for pain, but just exploring what the range of motion is today. And feel your breath with this compression. Where's your breath going? Body is held by the floor, perhaps compressed by the legs. Where does the breath want to travel? And let's take a little back and forth action across the hips, feeling what's going on in the glutes and the sacrum, the lower back, If you want to add the action of letting your knees move away from your torso and then back as you rock back and forth, you'll feel that motion move along the length of your lower back, and you'll perhaps get some feedback there. Pay attention. Always pay attention to your body's feedback. And let's take the knees apart from each other and draw some big circles with the knees, finding what's going on in the hip joints. And take the circles in both directions. This is a nice exploration of those hips, and hips can be very grumpy. So if you find any soreness or feels like there's gritchiness or sand in there, send your breath and your attention to that area and move slowly. Perhaps make the circle smaller to accommodate. Get some action going. We'll get the synovial fluid moving in that joint. And those motions can be small or big, depending on exactly who and where you are today with your body. It's not always the same. Let's place the feet back on the floor and take the hands and right angle the hands, press those palms down low on the legs and press into the upper thighs. As those thighs push back on the hands, you'll feel your belly engage and press down to the floor. Make this a little bit of an action. Try taking a big in-breath here, and then let your breath out with a whoosh. Feel your belly push down to the floor and that vacuum motion as your breath leaves. Do that one more time. Let's take a relaxation for a moment and a relaxing breath. And then we'll do that same big breath in, big breath out, all the way in with the pressing against your thighs and the resistance. And then the big whoosh out. Whoosh. Feel the vacuum of that emptiness and what happens to your belly there. Okay. And then return to normal breath. Let's stretch the legs long and do an overhead stretch, pressing out through the heels, wiggling your toes and fingers, stretching the fingers and toes wide, and then clutching them into fists or toe curls. Activating those parts of your body. Now we're going to bend the knees and roll to your side. I'm rolling towards the camera. I'm hoping you've got a good view of this. You have props in your way, you can move them away. And you might want a little support on your head here. If you try to lay your head down and your neck goes, wait, don't do that, then place a blanket or a flattish pillow under your head to give yourself some support. We're going to take the upper hand and reach beyond the lower hand with the fingertips so that you're rolling past that hand and reaching forward. And then take that hand and let that hand run across that inside of your arm that's on the floor towards your chest. With the inhale, let's do the exhale and reach forward. And then inhale and roll open. You'll find your hips moving a little bit here. If there's any soreness in the lower back with that movement, you can place a block between your knees to provide some more stability. Sometimes gripping that block helps stabilize the lower back. And each time you do this, see if you can bring that upper hand a little farther across your chest and towards an open position. Let's do it 2 more times. And the second time, we'll land with an open position, taking that hand all the way towards the floor. That's the first time. Here comes the second one. You can take that upper arm towards the floor or bend it into cactus position and let it fall towards the floor. You may find that the upper leg is rising a little bit. That's fine. It's just participating in this. And this is a gentle twist here. you may find you've got a lot of action across the upper chest of the arm that's reaching open now. And if it's too much for you, you can place something under that arm, or just lift it up a little bit and bring it back, and then move into the action. And then when it feels like too much, lift it back and take it away. Moving in and out of that pose may be enough if it feels like too much. Or if it's a nice stretch, if you feel that and you go, yeah, that's a strong sensation, but I'm okay with it. I feel like that's a good opening. Your body kind of is saying, ah, yeah, wow. Then you can let that gravity work at your body, and gradually you may find that arm moving towards the floor. Again, you can do this with an open arm or a bent arm. For me, I find the bent arm gives a little more sensation. So that's one way to adjust, by straightening or bending the elbow. One more deep breath into that stretch, that opening. Then with an exhale, let's bring the arm back to the front. And we are going to do another action while we're on our sides here. Now come back. First of all, let's interlace the hands with each other and take those hands behind the head. Then you're going to roll open with this hand behind the head position. And you can have that a wide opening or a smaller opening. You can wiggle around and try to get that front shoulder blade down flat. Just be gentle with yourself here, finding a position that's comfortable for you to do a little work with, because the next action is to lift up the head and shoulders towards that hip and lower. We're engaging those side abdominals. You can lift with an exhale and lower with an inhale. Lift with an exhale and lower with an inhale. You can also try releasing one hand. You want to support your head and neck here. So leave one hand on the neck, place it on your side, and try that action again and see if you can feel what's going on there with the lift. This can be a really small action. In fact, it can be more of a intention. Just a little tiny lift will be enough to engage those side abdominals. So play around with this. If it feels difficult or challenging, play around with a very small action. And even that will give some strengthening and contractioning to these side abdominals. Let's do 3 more. Exhale and inhale. Exhale and inhale. Consciously working the side muscles, and then let it go. And take a deep breath. We're going to roll back to the side here. And you can lift up onto your elbow if you like, or you can take your head in your hand if you like, because we're going to do some clamshells. We've got this nice position for that. Clamshell is exactly what you might visualize: lifting the top leg and then lowering it down. Now, to make this work, you've got to really engage the muscles. You can do it without doing any work at all, or hardly any. But if you really engage the inside and the outside when you lift, and the inside as you pull down, imagining you have to do more work than you do, like you're working through a viscous substance like honey or jello or something you have to push through to get down, you'll find some more action happening. And again, you can adjust that work by how much feels correct for you. You can also lift up a little bit, lift that bottom leg up, and then the bottom leg will be participating. But you might not like that. So that's just, again, one more step to play with. Let's do 3 more here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then if your bum is sore, if you felt that in your bum, give your bum a few taps, a little massage there to acknowledge it's hard work. And push yourself up slowly. And let's come to the other side. You don't actually have to do that. You can roll over to the other side. I'm doing this so you can see me in the camera from both sides, because we're going to do the same sequence here. We're going to start with that rolling the hand across the arms. Really feel the back of the shoulders as you do this. Feel the action. One shoulder's already had this. You're giving the shoulder that's on the floor a little bit of a massage, while the top working arm is getting the warm up with the opening. And we'll do this 3 more times. And the third one, you're going to land into your open position. We'll feel a little different on this side because we've done some work on a crosswise twist already. And one shoulder has been released a little bit. So now we're going to open all the way up. Let that palm fall to the ground. That's probably the least, the gentlest opening. You may feel a lot. Again, you can support that arm with a prop, or you can move in and out of that position gently. And if you want a little more, you can try the cactus position. And in some bodies, that will give you a little bit more opening. And use your breath. Use your breath as if you can pour it into that sensation of stretch, as if your breath is a lubricant, a potion that releases and lengthens and opens and eases. And if you can stay here for a moment or two, a few breaths, sometimes it doesn't take very long to feel that release and opening. I think side sleepers tend to curl up a little bit, and this kind of opening in the chest is really nice in the morning. Use your breath. And with an in-breath, we're going to roll back towards the front. Find the intertwining of your fingers. See if you can go the opposite grip that you had the last time, just for fun. And place it behind to support the head. And again, you can open this elbow wide or not so wide, depending on what feels right for you. We're going to engage those side muscles. Take a moment to intellectually capture those muscles in your brain. And maybe that will translate into our body work here as we contract with an exhale, release with the inhale. This can be, just like on the other side, this can be a small motion that has intention and activation, but not much more. Or it can be pretty big. Just feel what your body needs, what works for you today. That whole range of motion from a small beginning to a large contraction, all of that is strengthening for these muscles, whatever you choose. Right? The trick is to find the perfect place for you today, the perfect place for you to be working, where you can have some effect without doing damage. Okay, 3 more. And if you finish, that's okay. You finish when you finish. And let's take a moment and a full breath here before we come to the side and do those clamshells. So again, you can open the top here and really see, you can engage the glutes in the back. As you do so, you can explore with your hand. And then as you're closing this clamshell. See if you can push it down like it's really hard to get it there. This way we can get a lot of effect without having to use weights. We're just using the musculature of the body across itself. It really gets those glutes working and the inner thighs. The inner thighs are something that in most of our lifestyle, doesn't do a lot of work. So it's nice to get them going. I'm going to do 3 more. And then take your hand and give yourself a little pounding through those glutes. Just give them some release with this. You don't want to bruise yourself. You're just tapping at yourself, feeling it, letting them go. All right, let's come back to the back and take a moment here and a deep breath. And we will roll up or come up, however you wish. You can roll up as we do when we roll along the length of the spine, or you can take a roll to your right and come up in a more gentle way. We're going to come up to boat pose again. We did this last week. So boat pose, we'll start with the beginning of the bus route is just leaning back, holding your thighs with a straight back, feet stay on the floor, and engaging the whole abdominal complex of muscles as you straighten your back and lean back. And the next step is to lift those feet a little bit off the floor, or perhaps so that the calves are parallel to the floor. That's a pretty good workout right there. So this may be not plenty for most people. And then you can also try releasing them. Let's stay here for 3 good breaths. And if you want to take a break or you need to stop, that's what you're going to do. And you can wiggle your hands up and down like the Pilates people do, just to distract yourself. And release. And let's come to hands and knees. Was there something? No, let's come to hands and knees. I was trying to remember if I had something planned in between. I don't. We're going to come to hands and knees. And when you get to hands and knees, take a moment. You can, of course, pad your knees, cushion those bones. Take a moment to wiggle and explore what it's like to be here. Pay attention to your hands. Make sure that you have your weight forward onto your knuckles and the sides of your hands so that the wrists aren't carrying all that work. And see how the hips are here. Let's just do some free wiggles. So take your time and churn around however feels good. No one is watching. You can churn your ribs in a circle. You can take your hips in a circle, which will take your body in a circle. You can wiggle the shoulders. Let's wiggle it all. And again, really paying attention. Is there a movement that feels yummy, that feels nourishing and pleasant? Like, oh my goodness, I really wanted to find some stretch there. I really needed to make some room in that part of my body. And if there is, remember that part of your body, and we'll see if we can come back to it during later on in class. Let's take that right foot back and turn the toes under to make sure we get a good stretch along the back of the leg. Really push out through the heel. Send the breath into that sensation. And then lift that leg and move it across the other leg to the side. You can place it right on the floor. It may go a long way. It may go a little way. And feel what that does. Feel the stretch from that foot, those toes, across the side of your body. Now, I have my right foot back. Take that left hand a little bit more into the center. We're going to place all our weight on the left hand and lift the right hand, and then reach across with that hand. So you're getting a full body stretch. Now you can have those fingertips on the ground if you're having balance issues. And if the wrist is sore, you can do this with on your forearm as well. So there's some ways to alter this and make it more comfortable for yourself. And breathe into this side of the body, this opening. And then let's place that right hand back down and the right knee back down. And I'm already ready to take off a layer. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, that side stretch opening. So back to hands and knees, and take the left foot back with the toes turned under, pressing out through the heel, really pressing out. And see what you're finding there. Oftentimes we'll feel it mostly in the calf, because those calf muscles get very tight. Occasionally you can access more of your leg if you're lucky, but that may not happen. No worries if it doesn't. And then lift that left foot off the floor and take it across. Take it across. And you're stretching the outside of the hip. You may feel that start to move along the body. We can make it more. Again, I'm going to pull that right hand in a little bit just to help with balance. Lift the left hand up and then across. And see what's going on with this. Adjustments to make are to keep that left fingers on the ground or to work on the right forearm if this is a lot on your wrist or your hand. And take that hand back in position and the knee back in the position. Let's do one cat-cow here. Sending the chest through the shoulders forward and then releasing. And from that release, let's come all the way up onto the knees. Place the hands on the hips and pay attention to this upright posture here. We've come halfway up. So take a breath into this semi-standing position. You have a choice here with your feet. You can turn your toes under or place the front of your feet flat on the floor. And it's really very much what feels comfortable to you. Some people get cramps on their feet, in one position or the other. And there's, so if whichever position you're in, if it's uncomfortable, just try the other and see if that helps. Let's find our standing position by taking the shoulder blades up and back and down. See if you can do this without thrusting the ribs forward, lifting up tall. Then place the hands on the hips. I have my fingertips towards those hip bones and lean back, keeping the body in a straight line. Just lean back a little. You'll feel your quads activate. And perhaps you'll feel some pressure in those feet as well. Doesn't have to be a big lean. Inhale and come up. We'll do that 2 more times. Just play with it. See what you can do. See how it feels. Leaning back, feeling those quads wake up. Nice breath. Exhale and come upright. 1 more time. Inhale back. Feel those quads light up. You have to also press into your shins, into the bottom part of your legs. You'll feel that working too, as well as all these muscles along your spine and your abs that hold you in a straight line. And then exhale and come up. From here, let's go for just a moment into child's pose. So you can take those knees apart, reach forward and come to child's pose. Forehead on the ground. If your knees don't come all the way down, That's okay. If you're uncomfortable with that, you can try a blanket right in between your knees and your thighs and your calves. And breathe into the lower back. Feel your belly relax. Very nice, gentle lower back release. You may feel your glutes here telling you all about the clamshells we did. Because this is also releasing not just the lower back, well, the lower back is, of course, it's all connected to those glute muscles, that complex of gluteus. Well, let's come back up to that upright pose. We're going to do a very gentle back bend. It will be more of a chest lift than a back bend. So again, interlace the hands and you can place them forward and get a little finger stretch along the way here. And then support your head. Find that nice place of balance where if you place your hands in there, they seem to cup your skull and support it. Then you can let those shoulder blades, the elbows press back. And this is maybe all you need, the sensation of lifting your head up. You can actually put pressure on the head and visualize, or maybe even partially pull up on the head so that you're lengthening the spine. And then those elbows working back is already a big opening for some people. So if that's true for you, you're going to breathe with this and rest as you need to. If you have a little more to give, try lifting the sternum. Lift up the sternum right here. Then you can lift up the sternum. And you'll probably find that your head relaxes back into the hands a little bit. Lifting up from the sternum, back stays really long, thighs are pressing forward. Lift up that sternum. Gentle back bend, keep breathing, release whenever you need to. You release by lifting up the head and bringing it forward. One more good breath here. And rise. Nice. All right, let's come to standing. So you can come up 1 foot at a time. I'm going to set my camera at a wider angle, hoping that you can see more. And you can move that blanket. If you have a blanket on your mat, you can move that to the side now. Nice, okay, I think that'll do it. Everything looks a little crooked, but I think you've got a good view, so I'm gonna go with this. Blanket to the side. Let's have our blocks handy. You never know when we're gonna come up and use the blocks. And okay, I'm good except for cutting off the top of my head, which may be the way it stays. Let's see. Oh no, that should do it. Okay. Come to the front of your mat and find mountain pose. I like to rock back and forth from toes to heels, stretch those toes out, shake the legs, set the shoulders down and back. And then if you are a rib thruster, you're going to tuck in those ribs. The legs don't have to be rigid. They can have relaxation at the knee. Hands hang to the sides, and if you can roll those shoulders open, you may find your palms are slightly open to the front. Shoulders line up over the hips, and then with the chin parallel to the floor, move the back of the head towards the back of the room and up. So the ears come in line with those shoulders. And let's breathe 3 times here with every breath, helping us plant our feet and reach tall through the spine and the head. gaining back all those inches we may have lost. Next breath, let's reach up all the way to the sky and gather the sun and bring it to your heart. And place hands on hips. You're going to step back into Warrior One. So I'm going to use my outside foot, which is, in this case, my left foot. If you want to mirror me or move along with me, it's your choice. Taking that foot back and making sure you have space between your feet. They're not on a balance beam. They're on two parallel tracks, like you have two balance beams. And the hip points are moving to the front of the room. And we're going to bend that front knee, and you want to be able to still see your toes. Now take your hands and place them on the back of your hips here. Do a line, draw a line down, just smoothing, relaxing that lower back down. And if you need to bend or relax that back knee a little bit, that's perfectly all right. To make sure that we're not doing a big bend in the lower back. The lower back certainly has its natural curve, but it is not exaggerated at all in this pose. You have a nice, tall, straight back. Let's lift the hands to find the classic Warrior One and take 2 breaths here. If you find your shoulders popping up, you can open your arms a little wider. Keep those shoulders relaxed on the back. Well, then let's take the hands down, bend the elbows to take the arms into a goalpost or a saguaro cactus pose. We're going to do a bend forward. So the back knee is going to relax more and bend more, and we're coming forward with an exhale. The inhale, the arms come open, the back leg works towards straight, and we lift way up tall again. So that's the flow. Exhale forward. It's a little bit like a cat-cow. In fact, it is a lot like a cat-cow. Come forward and open wide, open heart. Let's do that 3 more times. And then return the hands to the hips. Well, if you have your blocks at the front of your block or blocks or your substitutes at the front of the mat, if you have them, we're going to come from here to Humble Warrior. So come back to that Warrior One, and we'll just keep our hands on our hips for this. Bending from the hip joint, we're going to bend forward. And that may be a big bend or a little bend. We want to do this with a straight back until you find the limit. And you'll know the limit by the stretch in this front thigh. And you can reach that back heel back for a wider stance if that feels appropriate to you. And then you can use your blocks. If you don't have blocks, use your hands on your thigh. And where the action is as if you can lay your torso across that front thigh. And when you reach the end of your stretch, because you're working that right hip back, keeping the hips in line, when you reach the place where you find that's as far as I stretch, you're going to stay there and breathe into it. At that point, you can also relax your head. And use the breath. Let the breath come into the sensation. Let the breath ease open and lengthen that strong hamstring muscle. And with an inhale and strength in the belly, let's pull ourselves all the way back up to standing. And we're going to return to the front of the mat. You can do that in one step or as many steps as you need to come back to mountain pose at the front of the mat. I'm going to change sides so you can still see me, but you don't have to do that. So come to find your mountain pose. Let's take again a deep breath, reaching all the way up and taking whatever you need into your center. And place the hands on the hips and step back into the opposite warrior one. And we'll take 3 breaths in the warrior one position. Again, relax down that back, lift up, and adjust the arms to what you need today. Keep the hips working forward. Feel the feet pressing into the ground. The legs isometrically are working in towards each other from front to back and from side to side, making a really nice strong base, which really, it makes the balance much easier. Remember when we were working with the throat and neck? I think that was last week. Remember to keep that neck relaxed, the throat open. Let's take the hands into cactus position and repeat that variation of cat-cow. Exhale forward and open out. Keep the legs working, strong. Exhale forward, open out. If you need to take a break or move more slowly, please do so. One more time. Then hands to hips. Check the alignment, making sure your hips are still in line. You might want to even place your thumb into this hip crease as you come forward into the humble warrior position to make sure you're keeping those hips in line. You come to your thigh for stability or your blocks, or perhaps you reach towards the floor. Let that chest relax onto the front thigh. Keeping the back nice and long as you come into position. And then when you've reached the place where you've found where you want to be to begin, let your head relax. And keep the breath moving. Then big inhale, strong belly, lift yourself up and step forward to the front of the mat. 3 deep breaths. Let's work on another variation of warrior one. And it's actually the warrior 3. So we're going to, warrior 3 starts from the warrior 1 base. And so make sure you have your blocks at the front of your mat, whichever end you're at. And I think I'll go to the other end to start. And I'm going to step back with my left foot because I want to have the visual of that. Now, you remember warrior 3 is a one-legged balance. So it's quite possible that some of you might feel better to have a balancing tool. So if you want to have a chair in front of you, or if you want to do this at the wall, please do so. And you can watch. Let me demonstrate what we're going to do. So we're going to come to warrior one, and we're going to reach forward with our weight under the front foot and lift the back foot. So the back foot is going to stay, the hips are going to stay in line, toes are still going to be pointing down, keeping the back and leg in one straight line. We're moving towards a long lifted leg with balance. Now that could be, the big pose is a lot. So what we're going to come to is that bent front leg, working on taking the weight into the front leg and just lifting the back leg off the floor. But if this seems really challenging, please have your balance tool near you. So as you lift your leg, you have something to help with that. Okay, so prepare. We'll take 2 breaths and you can prepare as you need to. And then let's step back into warrior one. Lift the toes up off the floor, flex the toes. Feel the strength of your feet and the strength of your legs. And as with all our one-legged balances, we start by pouring the weight into one leg, in this case, your front leg. That front leg can stay back. As you pour your weight into it, the back leg becomes light, right? And it has no weight. So here's where you may want to start balancing. You can leave your hands on your hips, or if you feel more stable in prayer position with your thumbs pushing into your breastbone there, you can do that. And then just experiment with lifting that back leg off the floor. Lift the back leg off the floor. And if that's good, if you can handle that, if your balance is interesting to play with, really stretch that leg back through the heel, toes pointed towards the floor, and see if you can rotate a little bit more. Keep breathing. Bring the leg down to warrior one position. Take a breath in warrior one and step into mountain pose. That's really pretty good work. That's pretty advanced work. So well done, kids. Even if you just lift that back foot off the floor, always the work we do, exploring balance, playing with balance, even though you may feel like you're just fiddling around and have no success, the work itself improves your musculature and your balance. Let's place hands on hips. Step the opposite leg back. So interesting how our different sides will affect our balance. Come to warrior one again to begin with. Relax the back down. This is a very familiar footprint. Feel your strength here. Feel how strong your legs are. Then, as you let your weight come forward under the front leg, the left leg or the opposite leg lightens up. And stretch the back long. Head is lifted back. And experiment with lifting those toes off the floor. Okay, nice. And then just keep experimenting, keep working with it. If you can balance with the toes off for the floor for a moment or two, excellent, just excellent. If they need to come up and down, that's the work you're doing. That's fine. Really feel the stretch wherever you are, from the heel through the top of your head, and keep the breath moving in the body. And bend that front leg. You place that back foot into warrior one. And take a moment to reorient towards this gravity, two-footed, heads up, and step forward to the front of the mat. Let's step this way, facing your camera, facing the front of the room, and take a wiggle. Take a wiggle. That was good. Bounce your heels. Take a wiggle. Wiggle whatever you got. Shake them. Wiggle them all. Okay. Keep going as long as you need to. And then take a wide stance. Take a wide stance. Move your block to the front here. We'll do a forward fold in the front. And we're going to take that down, just down low after a minute. So, but to begin with, first just find this orientation. Feet are parallel on the mat, facing forward. Feet are strong on the floor. You have a nice wide stance. Find the hip points. Right below them, we're going to bring the torso forward. First, just to a flat back fold. You can use the block for this. You can use your thighs. Maybe you have enough room to use the floor. Stretch that back long. If you do not want to do inversions, this is where you're going to stay. You can add this to the stretch by wiggling your feet further apart if you find yourself opening up as you breathe here for a moment or two. If you have more room and you're fine with the inversion, allow your chest to come towards the floor. And wiggle the feet out if you want. And you have choices with your hands. They can move towards, in line with your feet. It's a nice, balanced, simple way to work. You can work towards your feet with your hands. Or you can take your hands out in front of you, which is a very balanced pose, very stable, into a downward dog position. Let's stay here for a moment with gravity working for us. Keeping the breath moving. And then if you have your hands out, you're going to work them back. Everyone place your hands under your shoulders again, flatten the back. And this time, we're going to walk those hands a little bit to the right and bend the right knee. As you do so, you'll probably find your right heel moving in. That's fine. Keeping that left foot flat on the floor, we're going to bend enough to find a stretch along the inside of the long leg. You're going to take a breath into that stretch. Make sure the outside edge of the back foot is on the floor. And that's what gives the stretch. And then we're going to walk the hands towards the other side and repeat the same motion on the other side. Letting that front knee, letting the opposite knee bend, keeping the other leg flat on the floor, reaching out. Letting the weight fall as much as is appropriate. The stretch comes as you let your weight relax down, and you'll feel that stretch along the inside of your thighs. Same place we were stretching during the clamshells. Let's go back and forth one more time. Taking the hands over to the outside foot. You have to adjust the angle of your feet as you do this. You make the switch. And then walking back to the other side, which would let the foot turn out so the knee can bend, and bring the back foot parallel to the short edge of the mat. Letting the weight come down just as much as is right for you. Could be a little or a lot. And then we're going to walk back to the center again. You might want to heel toe your feet in a little. Take the hands onto the waist or the thighs. Really grip the belly as you come up with enough dignity and slowness to make sure you survive the trip, right? Shift. Take those shoulder blades back, heel toe the feet all the way together. I'm going to step back to the front of the mat. All right, let's stand in mountain again. Deep breath. And exhale. Check your posture. See how the alignment is surviving the work standing. One more deep breath. And then we're going to step back wide open into a nice big stance for Warrior Two. And this is the warrior where your heels line up, or perhaps the heel and arch, front heel, back arch, as if you were on a balance beam. And those hip points turn to the long edge of the mat. So you're flat to the front of flat to the other wall of your room. Arms rise up. And you can turn your gaze as far to the front as is comfortable for you today. And check in. How's everything going? Press those feet into the floor. Feel those legs isometrically working towards each other. Strength of the thighs. The belly is lifted and engaged. Shoulders and arms. The arms are stretched, but they can be relaxed. Shoulder blades are relaxed. Face is relaxed. And relax your throat. Relax your eyes. Relax your jaw. And breathe. 3 breaths. Let's take that right arm forward. And let the hand or perhaps the forearm come to that bended front leg for side angle pose. And if it helps you, you can draw this upper arm across the body to feel that opening. One thing we want to pay attention here is keeping the torso straight. There's a little bit of a impetus here to hunch over, to curve the back over, to allow yourself to reach the front thigh. You want to keep that back long and straight. And if that means you're more upright, that's perfectly okay. This pose is probably easier on your body and doing you more help than this pose where you're coming way down and you're hunched in. And if you actually experiment with that, which I really don't recommend, you'll feel a big difference in how much you can breathe. It's this openness and the length, because we're looking for the stretch from the top of the head to that back edge of the foot. If your shoulder allows you, you can take that arm over the ear, and then you can really see, even if you're really upright, you can see that stretch, long, straight arrow stretch. And breathe. The head can actually relax here. Can come towards the floor, can be lifted looking forward, or if you have the room and the impetus, you can look up towards your arm. One more good breath here, then let's lift the arm up. Open back to Warrior Two, and let's do the reverse too. Let's take that arm forward, relax the back hand on the thigh, and reach up and then back. It can be very gentle. It doesn't have to be a big, big curve. And open that front arm. And let's turn the toes forward on the front foot. Heel toe of the feet together. Come back to the front. And this time, let's step the feet across and do some hula hips. You can do the arms too if you want. It's hard to do the arms and the hands together though, unless you're used to the choreography. So hula hips, we're pushing one hip bone forward and then the other, and letting the bum move up and back. It doesn't matter what it looks like. All we're looking for is a little nice release through the hip area. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's hula. Then let's take those feet together. Find mountain standing towards the front. And I'm going to step to the opposite end of my mat for the Warrior Two sequence on this side. So find your standing warrior. You find your mountain. Lift the arms towards the sky. Bring them through center. And place hands on the hips and step way back for a really nice open stance to get into Warrior Two. Same alignment with feet in line on the balance beam and hips working open to the front of the room and arms rise. And then look over that front arm as much as is comfortable. If that's hard on your neck, it is not the most important part of the pose. You can keep your head forward if the neck is challenged by this. Because you want that throat and neck to be comfortable and relaxed. Feel the breath really moving through your body. Heart is pumping, breath is moving, legs are strong. Warrior. Let that front arm bring us forward. Again, looking for the straight ribs, straight back, wherever you get the best relaxation forward or bend forward, keeping the torso lifted and in line. And then that top arm can brush across you to help you open front, or perhaps even reach over the ears. Keep the breath moving. Feet are strong on the ground. Legs are strong, moving in towards each other. If you need to come out, that's fine. Come out when you're ready. You never want to overcook anything. You never want to burn the cookies. It's an analogy for us as we're working in strong poses. Come out because you don't want to burn the cookies. Everybody out. Let's heel toe that front foot forward. And we'll come into star, 5-pointed star. So facing forward, toes are reaching up, 5-pointed star. Breathe. Stretch those hands. You can stretch and contract them if you want. Gardener's really working those hands. Wiggle the fingers. Let those starfish, those sea stars, play in the tide. Let's place the hands on the thighs and come down into a nice, comfortable horse position. A nice, broad, wide, fat mare to take us on a gentle ride. And if you would like to rock back and forth and let yourself come down and up for a moment, please do so. If you're happy or stable, please take a quiet pose for a moment here. Whichever works for you. Be working those thighs slightly open, letting your weight slightly relax down. Just a gentle stretch here. Arms are strong, throat is relaxed, neck is easy, belly is lifted, feet and legs are strong. And then push up through your legs, feet come forward, feet come together, and we will return to the other front of the mat. Okay. So we have already done a one-legged balance, but let's do tree just for fun. So I'm going to do tree facing you. You can do tree wherever you want. Make sure if you're at all concerned, have yourself a balance point. Let's start by pouring the weight into one leg, find that tree trunk leg, and bending the opposite leg. And let's lift the heel off the floor and let the weight, just the weight of that thigh and leg, pull down, relax down. It helps you to put that back toe on the floor. If you feel you can release better with that, that's fine. And what we're doing here is creating a little room in this joint. It's always nice to make sure we both contract and contract into the joint and reach out of the joint to find that room. And then lift the leg forward on a bend and open it to the side. We'll find where our trees want to grow today. They can start in a beautiful quick kickstand pose, or they can root at the calf muscle. They don't like to root at the knee. That's hard on the knee. Or they can come up higher, up into the thigh and press into the thigh and let that thigh or the calf press back into the foot. Maybe I should have taken a wall balance here. When you're ready, you can experiment with what you want to do with your arms. You can take them out to the side, or cactus, or lifted. And let your leaves blow in the wind. And breathe. And if you come out of your pose, come out, and let's see if we can come back for a moment. Then, to come down to finish, relax the hands first and the legs. Let's see if I can do better on the other side. Let's see if we can all do better on the other side. Although it's not a competition between sides, it's just always looking to see what we can do, what's available to us. Let's start with that little release on the opposite leg. Let that leg be loose and heavy. And take it in a little circle if you like, and feel it just dangle. I want it to just dangle there. And bring it to the front. Let that knee lead the turnout. Turnout comes from the hip. And find your placement at the ankle, at the calf, or perhaps up into the thigh. Sometimes you may find that your pants are too slippery to do up in your thigh. And if you don't have wide pants, you're stuck. If you have wide pants, you can pull them up. Oops. But that's always an interesting dilemma with yoga clothing. But if you can find bare skin by pulling up the pants, that will give you a good grip. Keep the breath moving. Remember to look for a drishti, a focal point. And then finish with the hands first, and the legs will come back to the floor, and do a couple of more poses before we come to Shavasana. So take your time in the way that you need to get to the floor. And both poses, let's start sitting up. So we're going to sit up in Dandasana first. And some people can sit up in a right angle pose, and that is a good stretch for the back of the legs. Sometimes that's too much of a stretch. If so, you just take yourself back a little more than that. Because this pose itself, Dandasana, can be a big stretch if you have tight hamstrings especially. And let's take the right leg and place it across the left, as we always do when we're doing figure 4 stretch. And we're going to pull that left knee up, or the bottom knee up, and place it on the floor. And we've come to a sitting figure 4. And it may not take much to reach the point where you're finding a good stretch. You may find it as soon as you bend that bottom knee and lift the knee up off the floor. Or you may find you want to pull that foot closer to the body, and then you get more of a stretch. It just depends where you are, how your glutes are today, how much action they want, how tight they are today. So find the right height for you, the right release, and breathe into that release. Breathe into that stretch. Now, if you are finding that this is too hard on your wrists, if you have weight on your wrists that they don't like, you can always come to your back. You can do this on your back if you prefer. It's just a variation. Same stretch exactly, with a variation. That doesn't, no. Then breathe. And then to get up, you're just going to release that front leg, and you can give them a wiggle, change the orientation, the other leg bends on top. And again, to find your stretch, just start bending that knee. It may not take very much. Press the upper knee away. You can also move the top leg back and forth across the thigh. And then you can scoot your bum up or your foot back and find more stretch if that's right for you today. And release that front foot, release all the way down. Let's come onto our backs. And first, just feel what it's like to be on your back for a moment. And then ask your body what else it needs. Do you need a full body stretch by stretching long and adding banana or a comma stretch or parentheses stretch? Do you want to pull the legs in and rock back and forth across your hips or come to happy baby? Do you want to do another spinal twist? Those are 3 suggestions, whichever one suits you, or if you have another stretch you want to do, please do so. Take a moment to indulge your body and see what it's asking for. And then ask your body how it would like to take Shavasana today. Would you like to have your legs up the wall? Would you like to have your legs on a chair or a blanket under your legs? Is it time to put your jacket back on or your socks because the home is cool, the room is cool? Do you like a little pillow under your head? Do you want your knees bent? Just find out what you need, what's right for you today. Practice knowing, practice looking for what's right for your body. What will serve you? And sometimes bodies need challenge and sometimes they need ease. Sometimes they need to be indulged and sometimes they need to be worked out. So it's a balancing act. But right now we're looking for indulging. We're looking for meeting the needs, finding the needs and doing exactly what that body is asking for. As you take your final Shavasana, a few minutes on the floor in a very comfortable position, allowing the body to release as much tension as you possibly can. You can begin by taking deep breaths, perhaps the breath we were working on, a wide shoulders and collarbone, and then releasing the shoulders down. Perhaps that will work for you. Or you have another favorite pranayama that would feel good. And then check in with any trouble spots you found in your body, anything that was calling to you earlier or you felt during class. See if that's comfortable, and if you can make it comfortable, make sure you can relax your eyes down and back. Let your eyes close gently and the tongue in your mouth relax, the jaw, the throat be soft. The lower back, very comfortable, the shoulders easy. And if you have a belly that carries emotion and tension, Let that belly be quietly working through its day, knowing everything's okay, that you're going to take care of it, you're going to nourish and indulge that belly as it needs to be taken care of. Feed it the right stuff. Let everything be gentle, at ease. The glory and the power of this fast-moving spring is part of you. And here we take a moment to slow down and be quiet. Now be aware of your breath again. Find your breath. Find your consciousness of your breath. And start to move your body, however it works for you, to reactivate, reorient, and come further into consciousness. When you're ready, take a brief breath, roll to your right. And after a deep breath there, you can join me in a seat, or you can stay in Shavasana as long as you want. But I'm going to close class and our recording so that if you need to be moving on with your day, you are on track. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for giving yourselves this time. I love to see you here. I hope your week is full of ease and peace and fun and joy. Namaste. I'll stop the recording Goodbye to anyone who's working with the recording today.